الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد يقول الله عز وجل ولنبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, He promises us, He informs us that we shall certainly test you with fear, hunger, loss of property, lives, and crops. In this verse is one that is extremely applicable to the unfortunate situation that is happening with our brothers and sisters in Gaza. The UN states and tells us that between 2008 and 2020, that 5,590 Palestinians were killed and 251 Israelis. Over 55,000 Palestinian buildings have been destroyed as of 2022, as of last year. That does not include the razing and the genocide that is happening now. As of this morning, CNN reports that 1,800 Palestinians have been killed. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on them. They continue to carpet bomb an area that is smaller than the city of Detroit and the city of Denver. And the Israeli government is not letting up. They are continuing to attack. They are continuing to bomb. And their claim is that we are targeting leaders. And the last time I checked, when I looked at the Hamas leadership, it does not comprise women and babies, who are the ones that are disproportionately targeted in this massacre. And Allah promises us that He would test us. And He tells us that death is one of those tests. And why is that? Because it is one of the most difficult ones. It is one of the most challenging ones. And this is not the only test that is happening. There are brothers and sisters who are telling me that anyone who is speaking against this massacre and this genocide that is being perpetrated by the Israeli government, they're now being put on lists in their colleges for anyone who speaks up, so that these people, when they graduate, they will not be hired. I know people who have come to me and said, I am not allowed to speak about this situation in my workspace in support of those people who are being killed and who are being taken advantage of and whose land is being stolen. But I am perfectly inclined and justified of putting up an Israeli flag, of taking donations toward the Israeli government. The hypocrisy is sickening. It's disgusting. And the first question we are asked is, why do you not condemn the attacks? Why do you not condemn Hamas? I don't know what Hamas is doing. I'm shown video clips, and then I'm also told that they're beheading babies. I'm also told that they're raping women. I'm also told, and I'm also told, and I'm also told. And when I go and I investigate those specific reports, I find out they're all lies. What do I trust? Who do I trust? Who do I listen to? And these numbers that I'm getting, and that I'm hearing about, and that I'm receiving, how much are you going to push a people? How much are you going to oppress a people? How much are you going to squeeze a people? How much are you going to kill a people? Their electricity is cut off. Their food is cut off. Their water is cut off. What more can you do to these people? And then every time they respond, you want me to condemn them. And what about these disproportionate numbers that you are sharing with me and you are telling me that this is the number of people that are being killed? These are the number of buildings that are being razed. This is the amount of land that is being stolen day after day after day. What do I do with this information? Why is the condemnation only supposed to be one way? Why is it that we are not allowed to be asked about these people who are hurting? And it's sad, all I see in my feeds, the only place that I do see babies being killed and being disproportionately targeted are our brothers and sisters in Gaza. They want 2.4 million people. We're giving you 24 hours to evacuate. Evacuate to where? Where do you want them to go? You've created an open air prison and you're telling them to leave and you've closed all the doors. What do you want them to do? What do you expect from them? Where do you want them to go? You control all the entrances. You control all of the exits. And you're telling them to leave. How much can you squeeze a people? How much can you oppress a people? How much can you keep a people under your thumb? And this is not dissimilar to what happens many times in our own homes. I'll have one of my sons, he'll keep poking the other one. He'll keep poking him. He'll keep poking him. And then when he reacts, he'll say, "Oh, Baba, look, he's hitting me." Who is to blame? Who do I look to? What kind of hypocrisy and unfairness do we have when we are looking at it and we're framing it in this way? It's so sad. It truly is sad. Blood is sacred. It truly is. There's no doubt about that. But who is initiating the bloodshed? Who is the one that is slaughtering? Who is the one that is in the position of power? Who is the one who has control? And then those are the same ones that get mad when rocks are thrown at them. And yes, we're upset, which is completely understandable. And yes, we're sad. And yes, we're frustrated. But Allah promises us. He already told us. He says, الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. He's like the one who has created death in life to see which one of you is best in deeds. So we will respond. And we always have in the past. And our response has always been for good. And it has always been for khair. It has always been for the betterment of ourselves, the betterment of our families, and the betterment of our communities. And the situation is sad. And the situation is frustrating. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a means. He's given us a channel. He's given us a way to help. It's not possible that Allah will test us and just keep pushing us. Allah is not like the oppressive Israeli government. Allah tells us and promises, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها, that we only burden a soul to what it can bear. Allah is adil. Allah is just. He's not oppressive. He's not hurtful, and He's not vengeful. He always creates a way. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ يَجْعَل لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. And whoever has taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whoever has God consciousness and awareness, Allah will make a way for him. And walillahi alhamd, there are ways. And walillahi alhamd, we have responded. And walillahi alhamd, we will continue to respond, and we will continue to grow, and we will continue to be positive, and we will continue to contribute. Because that is the way of the Muslim. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all tawfiq. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. I want to complete the verse I started my khutbah with. And that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's statement, وَلُنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we shall certainly test you with fear, hunger, loss of property, lives and crops. وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. But give glad tidings to those who are steadfast. And if we look to those individuals who are sabirin, those individuals who are steadfast, what are the two major characteristics that I take away from this verse? What are the two things that I think that the person who is sabir, how can he respond to this? And walillahi alhamd. And I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that spiritual steadfastness, having trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that whatever comes out of this is going to be because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants best for us and wants best for the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He wants best for our community, He wants best for our family, and He wants what's best for me. Giving me that sense of trust. And the second thing that I take away from this is that I must be brave. And that is what's going to be difficult. Where we now live in an era and live in an age where we will be canceled because we do not agree with the narrative. Where people will shun us because they don't like what we're saying. And this is not the first time. We as Muslims, we have become hardened. Our characters have been built. We have the spiritual and physical and mental stamina to deal with this again. Walillahi alhamd. And some of you might be too young to remember. But I remember. This is not the first time I was called a terrorist. Many of us who are sitting here remember after 9/11, the stops that we received at the airport, members of this community, unfortunately, who were jailed unjustly, some of them still sitting in jail. Funds were frozen, laptops, computers taken, raids were happening. This is not the first time we were called terrorists. And why was it then? Because we didn't agree with the narrative. And we said that Muslims are just, and Muslims are upright, and Muslims care about family, Muslims care about community, Muslims care about society. So the first time we were called terrorists, what did we do? How did we respond? We built more masajid. We built more soup kitchens. We created more relief organizations. We opened more Islamic schools. We opened more funeral homes. We contributed more to society after being called terrorists, because that's who we are. Call me a terrorist again, and watch how much more I will contribute. Watch how much more I will do. I don't fear being called a terrorist anymore because I've already lived that. Put whatever label you want on me. But if being called a terrorist means to contribute, if being called a terrorist means to build, if being called a terrorist means to integrate, if being called a terrorist means to grow my society and my family and my culture and my values, then I am a terrorist. We successfully beat this once, and we will successfully beat it again, and we will continue to successfully beat this. You can put whatever label you want on me, you can put whatever name you want on me. We are hardened spiritually. We are hardened mentally. We are hardened socially. Walillahi alhamd, Allah has tested us. And I say with confidence that this Muslim community has grown because of those tests. We've become better because of those tests. We've become stronger because of those tests. And we will continue to succeed. There will continue to be khair in the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So like I said, this is not my first rodeo. This is not the first time I'm dealing with this. This is not the first time many of us are dealing with this. People have called us names before. People have ridiculed us before. People have put us down before. And we've only come back stronger. We've only come back with better messaging. We've only come back more organized. And that is a sign of our tawakkul. That is a sign of our reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is a sign of our bravery. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to continue making us from the mutawakkilin, from those that rely on Him. I ask Him Azza wa Jal to make us more courageous and make us more brave. Because like I said, it is through these tests and through these trials and through these tribulations that we will only improve, and walillahi alhamd we have. The first I heard about these lists being created by some of these lobbying firms and organizations to put down these voices, I heard CARE stood up. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless them in their work. When I heard that there was a need in Gaza, Islamic Relief stood up. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless them in their work. We are braver now than we ever were. We are more reliant now than we ever were. And like I said, there will continue to be khair. There will continue to be good in Ummah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as long as we continue to rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as long as we continue to be brave. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be very difficult. It's going to be very challenging. I won't promise that. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He also tells us, He's like, أَمْ حَسِبْتُمْ أَن تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةَ وَلَمَّا يَأْتِكُمْ مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ خَلَوْا مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ مَسَّتْهُمُ الْبَأْسَاءُ وَالضَّرَّاءُ وَزُلْزِلُوا حَتَّى يَقُولُ الرَّسُولُ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَتَىٰ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ أَلَا إِنَّ نَصْرَ اللَّهِ قَرِيبٌ. Allah says, do you think you'll enter the paradise without first being tested? That the nations before you, they were shaken. They were shaken to the point where they said, and the messenger with them also said, when is Allah's victory? When is Allah's aid? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responds to them, Ala inna nasrullahi qareeb, that Allah's victory is near. And that is, I swear by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is what I feel now. That we're being pushed and we're being cornered. All that means is that Allah's victory is near. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to aid our brothers and sisters in Gaza. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to preserve their wealth, to preserve their lives, to preserve their honor. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to push away and to deflect this oppressive Israeli government. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have mercy on all of those who have passed in Gaza. I ask Him Azza wa Jal to have mercy to have all of those who have passed all over the world. I ask Him Azza wa Jal to give shifa, to give healing to those individuals who are ill. There was a dua that was requested from us earlier today from one of the brothers in the congregation. Walid Nuqta, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give him shifa. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help those individuals who are in any type of financial hardship out of that hardship. We ask Him Azza wa Jal to help those who are in debt out of that debt. Wa aqimus salah.